Formulas, especially your Italian ice or your alcohol ones or whichever. So it's very simple. You go to the bar and you drink. No. So you have, well, I do that. But I look at the menu and I read what their names are and I read the ingredients and I start doing formulations and calculations in my head. Wow, that'd be a really great drink. Christmas time, holidays, they always put out magazines, books, and it's in your feed, whatever social media you use. And you look at those ingredients and you're like, that would make a really good non-alcoholic drink or an alcohol you can add to it. So that's what I did here. This was actually a Christmas drink that I tinkered with a little bit to make it to what we're going to call the Berry Delight Fresh Fruit Sorbet. Okay. You
can just go buy a bartender's book that has all the drinks in it and just sit there and go through it and think, well, what would make good ice cream? Because you can translate anything into ice cream.
Right. So we're doing what? Someone we're going to read off a quart, and a quart, right? So flat soda. I have experimented all different kinds of ways of how to make soda flat and what's the most quickest way and efficient. I tried it of opening it for a bunch of days in the fridge. Same result as just opening it the day before, letting it sit, pouring it into a container, doing it how you are now, and mixing it with the sugar makes it really flat. Does it have to be flat? No, but I will tell you that I learned the hard way putting fresh soda right in there with sugar. It's a volcano, and it just starts fizzing out like everywhere. Okay, just a couple ounces of lime juice, right? Yeah. So we got one. What am I missing? Anything?
Soda, 2 ounces of lime juice,
Everything in her
2 pounds of sugar.
Supermarket.
Yep. And the thing with Italian ice is people think you always have to use water. You don't. You can use juices just like I'm doing now. I've even made a root beer Italian ice with just straight root beer from the bottle. Pick your favorite root beer. Once again, make it flat. Pour it in the container. Open it the night before. Pour it in the container. Mix it with sugar. Yes.
Is your store-bought lime juice same quality or better than freshly squeezed? Or you just...
No. Freshly squeezed is always better. If I was making a lime or a lemon Italian ice, I'm going with fresh squeezed lemons or limes. If I just need it as an added ingredient, I'll just buy this stuff.
And of course, the problem is, just like all fruit, and Steve, hammered this into me, the fruit you get in Florida in July is not the same fruit you get in January. Right. And it's the same with citrus fruit. So when you get it from the bottle, it's consistent every time you use it.
Or if you buy it at the supermarket, it's consistent because it was picked and packed at the height of freshness and just thrown into a bag. So that's really my favorite way. And as Jeff's always saying, don't worry about the cost of the ingredients. You're going to get it. I mean, if you're getting $3, $5 for a product, $6, you don't have to worry about the cost of ingredients whatsoever.
If I was going to make this boozy, I would totally grab that rum right there and I would add that to this. This would pair very well. Something else that would probably pair very well would be like triple sec, or you could do a Grand Marnier, but that's a little too pricey for that. So when you work with Italian ices and juices or whichever, it's always best to just mix your sugar with whatever you're making it with. Don't have to, but for two reasons. One, trying to pour sugar down a throat, messy, and it can stick to the stuff. Two, just you don't have to fully dissolve it, just enough to kind of get it wet to pour in there. And then also sugar acts like sandpaper to your blades. You're not going to ruin your blades. You're not going to hurt them. They'll still last you for several years. It's just you could, instead of the life expectancy of, let's say, 5-6 years, now they're probably going to be to the 4 to 5 because the sugar acts like sandpaper. So that's good enough. All right.
So the runtime on this must be fairly long, right?
About 13.
Probably around that.
Heavy sugar, right?
So we have to add sugar to whatever you're making with Italian ice because the machine needs something to freeze. If you're putting in just straight juice, it'll freeze, but it's going to be very crunchy. It's not going to be smooth. So the more sugar you add, the softer and creamier it's going to be. So if you're somewhere and you eat a really creamy Italian ice and it's just the best you've ever had, and you go to this place and it was very crunchy and icy, it's just sugar. So if you want it even more creamier than what we're going to taste today, just up it another half a pound of sugar. Or you can just add more juice if you wanted to. Now this is also sugar. So to kind of talk about the subject they were with frozen or fresh fruits, I like frozen all the time. If you have like a blueberry patch that's local, definitely pair with them too, because that's great marketing. You know, blueberry ice cream made with fresh blueberries from Thompson's Blueberry Farm. That's always a great idea too. But the thing with frozen fruits is when they thaw, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure we all know, it creates its own natural sweet syrup juice in the bag. I put that in with everything that I make. It's a natural syrup that comes with the berries, and it's just a great added flavor. All right.
But
ready?
no red dye 40,
Nope.
no polysorbate 80, no preservatives. I mean, it just couldn't be better.
All right, we ready?
Christy mentioned about you don't always have to use water. A good example is an orange Italian ice. Lemon is always going to be an easy to do flavor because it's so tart. But orange is more of a subtle flavor. So if you use bottled orange juice, and I like it with the pulp in it because it makes it more texture, more real, you're going to have a fabulous product. Just a couple of bottles of orange juice, a little extra sugar, and you're good to go. If you want to make it a cream ice, you just take some of your dairy blend, or you could use heavy cream, and our formulas show you the amount to put in. It's not a whole lot, but just adding a little bit of cream makes it a cream ice, which makes it even smoother and creamier, and is kind of fun to do. Jeff's got a friend in South Florida who only sells cream ices and does a huge business on it. Just real easy, real easy.
So you'll notice that I started it right away. I don't need to taste it. I know it's going to taste very good. Why do I know? I really don't, but I just know that it is because I've worked with enough of these ingredients. So it's Italian ice. I really don't have anything else I could probably add, maybe just some more juice or whichever. So just go ahead, put your stuff in, let the machine do its thing, and then just sit back and wait for it to freeze. So the same concept goes with Italian ice, almost as it does with ice cream as far as that cutoff check goes. You don't want it to be a slushy, you don't want it to be runny. And the thing with Italian ices is you might just start to see separation. So if you're not working with the stabilizer, which Steve and I are against, we don't really care for them, but if you're gonna have it in your cabinet for longer than a week, 3 to 5 days, you're gonna need that stabilizer. So the sugars and all of that stuff that I added, once it's in your cabinet, you're gonna notice it start to separate. Sugar's very heavy, it's gonna start to sink, and then your other product's just gonna be on the top. So it's gonna be crunchy and not so good to scoop on the top, and then once you get to the bottom, it'll be super, super, super soft because everything started to separate. Any questions?
If you get it down to about 10 below, it's probably not going to ever separate on you. But the interesting thing about working with sugar and water is I can add any chemical that Dow Chemical has ever made to ice cream, and you'll never taste it. You'll just know it's in there, so I don't like that, but you'll never taste it. But Italian ice or sugar water or sorbets are just so subtle that anything you throw in there is going to make the product sticky and gummy. If you go to the supermarket and buy my customers Marino's Italian ice in little cups, this stuff is absolutely horrible. It's just all chemicals. We're trying to make it fresh. So if you're worried about separation, make it fresher. Yes, it can have a long shelf life, but it's so easy to put together. You're not waiting for the dairy to deliver it. Yeah, I mean, you can make it this morning, and 2 hours from now, you can be selling it because it'll be firmed up enough. Make a fresh product. Rita's, when they first came out, and we've sold thousands of machines to Rita's, it's not what it was. But when it was a great product, they used to advertise that nothing is sold that's longer than 24 hours in our store. That's gone out the window with the franchise. But that was the idea, is you go into an Italian pastry shop and you ask for a lemon ice. In fact, you go in, they've got an old cabinet like you see in the back there, the lid flops open, and you'll see the server in a real Italian bakery. You ask for a lemon ice. The server's in there going 1, 2, 3. You can't see the server's hand. Fills the cup, hands it to you. The server has a little puddle of lemon juice forming in the center because there's no chemicals. And the server's remixing it before they hand it to you. So I don't want a visual display cabinet. You know, the glass ones like Baskin-Robbins, I don't want that for Italian ice. So it's just another little tip. It's a great product to sell.
What do they charge for that?
Oh, it depends on the market. If you're in a very poor neighborhood, you might be getting $1.50. If you're doing the Florida State Fair in Tampa, you might be getting $5.50. A great way to try to price your product is go see what Coke and Pepsi are selling in your neighborhood. They've got people sitting up in Purchase, New York, in Westchester County, just trying to figure out, okay, we're doing a festival in Budapest this weekend. How much can we get for a can of Coke? Or we're doing a art festival in Winter Park, Florida. How much can we charge for a can of Coke? See what they're charging, and it'll tell you what you can charge, what the market will bear. Your product's better, so at least take it up 50 cents, $1, or even more. You can't.
usually hear about $1 an ounce. Is usually what I do.
How can you prove you're better if you don't cost more? Sometimes. Not true in my machines. But that was the old idea between a Chevy and a Cadillac, a little more chrome and a bigger price.
The biggest thing we saw during the pandemic was everybody that was making their or buying their ice cream wholesale was starting to change to make it themselves. It didn't matter what was going on or what was happening, and you needed to make cookies and cream ice cream, you're going to find a package of Oreos somewhere. Whether it's a gas station, a Family Dollar, a Dollar General, you're going to find what you need to make your product. So a lot of those that were purchasing, instead of making it themselves, were facing a lot of issues and problems because they couldn't serve their customers anymore. So making your product has so much more benefits than to buying it wholesale, and you can have a lot of fun, and you can always eat your mistakes, literally.
And everything is about marketing. We really come down to that, is it's good marketing. Well, what is good marketing? Hi, we sell Hershey's ice cream. Or hi, we make all our own fresh ice creams right here in the store. I know you can save 33% right off the top by making your own ice cream because we're all buying dairy. Dairy products are price controlled. So whether you're Haagen-Dazs or your little store, hometown store, they're both buying the dairy for about the same price. So there's a 33% savings right there. However, my customers say, oh no, it's much more like 50% that you're saving because of that sign that says homemade. When you have homemade frozen desserts in your town and you're the ice cream parlor there, a big chain or even one of our customers is very unlikely to move in on you because they know the best they can hope to do is your product's so good. We'll be lucky if we get 50% of her business. And why take 50% of his business when we could go to another town and be the only game in town? So you're bulletproofing yourself from competition by making your own. And when someone like me calls up and says, you know what, you could take these Oreo cookies and add sugar and water to it and make an Oreo cookie Italian ice. Whoa, no one's ever heard of that one before. And it won't be sold in the supermarkets because nobody would even think of it. But you have it. So there's and it's a lot of fun. You know, this is great fun doing this.
There's a lot of other doors and opportunities that open too with making your own. You can do catering events, you can do weddings, you can do parties, anything like that. Local breweries come to you and ask, can you make an ice cream, a beer ice cream? I've done that. I hate beer, so it was gross. But if you like beer, then it's great stuff. You have wineries that come to you to make wine sorbets. There's just so many other doors that can open with that too. And just being creative and having fun. I think February 1st is Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, so I've been really slammed with that one. How do I make this? How can I do that? Can I put waffles in there? You sure can. I've done that. That was really good too. What, this one? Oh. Yeah, the door's open. Yeah. Mimosa is a very good one. Champagne also explodes with sugar too, so be very careful with that. Don't have to make it flat. Just be very slow with it. Be very slow with it.
Pint sales. The idea is there's a hurricane going on right now and only one customer is going to walk in today We have to get as much money out of that customer as we possibly can. So they came to you to buy an ice cream cone. But on the way out, you have a little chest freezer about this big, and it's filled with pints that you made and froze them rock solid. So as you're checking out, the person checking you out says, oh, by the way, the boss made acai berry sorbet this morning. Would you like to take a couple of pints home? And you go, hey, I'm going home. Sure, why not? I came here for an ice cream cone. So I'm going to buy a pint of acai berry for $12. And I better buy a coconut for Paula, because that's her flavor. And so I'm going to buy two $12 pints of ice cream and take them home. We had over 40,000 stores around the world closed down because of COVID. And we were able to get them opened up and making money by doing pints. The employees couldn't be in the store, but the boss could, the owner. So the owner's making pints. You hire someone a lot younger than me to do social media, and they figure out that you can, text in your order, let them know you're in the parking lot, and the boss or a family member runs it out to them. 22 pints. You'll always buy two. I can't come home and say, hey, Paula, look at the mint chip I bought for myself. And she's going, where's my coconut? You're in the garage sleeping. So it's a great addendum item to sell, is the pints of ice cream. It's just wonderful because they love you so much, they're going to take it home. I'm even talking to restaurants now. Every time we go out to a restaurant, we have a nice big meal, we spend a good amount of money on it, and we're full. And what do? They bring you the dessert menu. Oh, no. I mean, the Boston cream pie, yes, I would love it. I can't take it. But in a couple of hours, I'm going to be hungry for something sweet. So if the server then said, okay, let me go get your bill. Oh, by the way, here's a list, or here's the boss, the chef made, coconut berry sorbet today. Would you like to take a pint home? And you figure, hey, I already spent $80 on this restaurant, and I'm heading home. We're heading home. Sure, why not? Good. I'll go get it. It's frozen solid. You can drive for a half hour. It won't melt, and we'll just put it on your bill. It's going on the credit card. It's not real money. So it would be a great opportunity, instead of you trying to sell ice cream, to sell to the restaurant for them to scoop and all that, and the waste, and the employees getting nothing out of it. The server who convinced you to buy a pint of ice cream is getting a larger tip, because now the tip went up $12. So it's something to think about approaching restaurants.
And to kind of touch on pints, we don't have one. So everybody's opened a pint of ice cream and peeled off the lid, right? And the ice cream was stuck to the lid. People think, oh, I got to buy a pint sealing machine. I got to get all fancy with this to keep the ice cream. Freeze it upside down. So once you fill your pint, freeze it upside down. Ben and Jerry's still to this day do that practice. That's how come that lid peels off of that ice cream. They freeze them through these massive conveyors upside down, so it creates a natural seal. And it's really fun, and it looks real clean when you pull that lid off. Unless you're like Steve, who likes to sneak a bite, then there's no smoothing that one over.
It looks full too.
Yes, it does look full.
A little bit of air maybe.
Yeah, it does look full. Unless you're adding like a really cute little topping on the top, then obviously you don't want to freeze it upside down. And that sells really well too. Some customers use clear containers like these, but it has the snap-on lid, not these. So this is kind of popular, I see a lot. Kind of like those Chinese soup containers, those. Either or works for me. I like the plastic ones better just because we all keep containers at home, right? Yeah. So I like those.
But
Yes.
think about it. They walked into your store because they love your product. So why not also have it available to take home? And they don't care what a cone costs. Jeff's already proved that. It doesn't matter what the price is. So as long as I'm there to buy a cone and I don't care what that price is, I'm not going, oh, well, gee, I can buy Breyers at the supermarket cheaper. Yes, you can. But it's not going to be anywhere near the quality. I might as well take, or I want to take a pint, and I always say two, home with me. What a great business. And that's all because of COVID. So it's always going to be around.
When you make that cook the freezer, how long can you keep it in the freezer?
For a long time, as Steve talked about earlier, as long as it's like 10 below zero, the colder the better. Gold is a natural preservative, so the colder you make anything, the longer it's going to last.
Well, I'm just saying,
I would, if
you can make up several pints and put it in the freezer if it didn't sell it like
if you're not moving that flavor, don't make it anymore. So we're pushing 13 and a half minutes. Did you have a question? Okay. Don't go to an auction house. So we're going to do a cutoff check on this Italian ice. We're pushing 14 minutes now, so let's open and close. So you can see how it's kind of what we call peaking, and then there's puddling. So earlier you watched it like shoot out at me. So I think we're okay. I'm going to pull it. And this is all naturally pink from that strawberry.
Did you hear the compressor shut off?
So there's, oh sorry. Who asked to overrun? So Italian ice doesn't have overrun. Nope, it has a little bit for expansion just because it's expanding to freeze, but there's no fat. So if you were to take sugar, water, and fruit, stick it in the bowl with the whisk and whisk it super fast, nothing's gonna happen, right? You're still gonna wind up with sugar, water, and fruit in a bowl. If you do that same thing with heavy cream and you do that, because it has fat, it's expanding, now you have homemade whipping cream. So that's the difference with that. So there's really no expansion. What you put in is almost what you're gonna get out. I think it's about like 17% more.